with Brad Biggs. Biggs time. Biggsy. His name is Brad Biggs. Brad Biggs talks football with you.
Mully Haugh, Chicago Sports Radio 6-7 of the score. Brad Biggs, the football man of the Chicago Tribune, a long-time contributor to the station and a valued friend. And he joins us now on the Score hotline, the Signature Bank Score hotline. Signature Bank, making commercial banking personal. Biggsy!
Morning, Brad.
Morning, boys. What's going on?
Well, you're on the story, and we see the Bears are 2-2, which probably is better than people might have expected. Probably along what people expected. They're coming off a pretty miserable performance, frankly. I don't know that a 12-point outing is something to brag about. Certainly, Justin Fields seemed offended at the implication that the passing game wasn't improving, but touchdowns matter. You gotta figure out a way to score some touchdowns.
Yeah, they were totally inefficient in the red zone yesterday, guys, and Justin Fields will have a much easier time putting together a list of people who believe the passing game is working than the list that is going to include the names of the people who don't believe the passing game is working. 11 of 22 yesterday for 174 yards. I think like 11 of which came on that goofy play where they lateraled it at the end of the game. Really two explosive passes. The nice shot downfield to Darnell Mooney, which is something we should have seen previously, and a good throw to Trayvon Wesco, kind of the third tight end on the roster. The only other pass play that went for more than 20 yards, which is where you define the explosive pass plays, was a screen to Khalil Herbert. I don't know that you're counting that as some type of development by your quarterback. So, no, the passing game's not working. The run defense is on a historically bad pace right now. And, there's people complaining about the pass rush. The Giants had no intention of throwing the football yesterday. You can't rush the passer until you earn the opportunity to do so. And when you're getting trampled by Saquon Barkley, career-high 31 carries, and you're letting the quarterback gash you in the run game, no opportunity to get after the passer.
262 rushing yards the Bears allowed, the most since December of 2013, as you point out in 10 Thoughts in ChicagoTribune.com. Brad, that night was against Chip Kelly and the Eagles, Mark Trestman's first season. The question is, how do you improve your run defense without the personnel necessarily to do it? This is not a schematic thing, I don't believe, unless you think that it is. What, if you're Matt Eberflus, do you do when you get back to work today?
Well, I think scheme's a part of this. Now, they didn't just sit in their Tampa 2 yesterday. I went and talked to Giants center John Feliciano after the game, and he said, they did a lot of walking the safety down in the box, a lot of different things to try to shore up that front against the New York defense. But the scheme, the Tampa 2, where you're asking your defensive linemen to be disruptive and penetrate and almost play the run on their way to the quarterback, I think that's led to where they're at right now, on pace to give up more than 3,000 rushing yards on the season. I think that's part of the issue. Personnel is no doubt part of the issue, and that's why the overarching point I tried to make in my column this morning, guys, for those people who are putting together their off-season wish list or prioritizing what the organization needs to do to fix the offense, think wide receiver, offensive line, quarterback, whichever way you want to go. There's a defense that needs a heck of a lot of upgrades. There's a defense that they tried to invest big time in a 3 technique before that guy failed his physical. So, I mean, it's just, I think a loss like this, an 8-point loss to a bad Giants team. I realize they're 3-1, but that's not a good football team. Is a reminder that they're at the very beginning of just a massive overhaul here at House Hall.
Yeah, I got to tell you, it is the run defense was a concern pretty much since the season began. I mean, in the preseason, we knew when they didn't get the three technique they were after, Larry Ogunjobi, that they were going to be patching some stuff together. They clearly are having a massive issue stopping the run as expected. The edge couldn't be set until halftime. I don't understand why. Can't you make that adjustment in game when you see the quarterback tearing you up with that stuff? It's just a problem for them, and it was a huge problem yesterday.
And it's not like they were stopping Barkley, and that's the reason why the quarterback's getting out the back door, right?
Right.
Like, Barkley was running on him too. So, but we can complain about the run defense. We should complain about the run defense. We should ask pointed questions about the run defense. But the offense, had opportunities, and it didn't capitalize, and it's on everybody. And there's some people out there I've seen who or heard from that are upset that Luke Getsy didn't call more pass plays. Okay, well, Fields had 22 pass attempts. He was sacked 6 times, and he ran 7 times. I don't believe any of those 7 runs were designed run plays. So you combine the scrambles with the sacks and the pass attempts, you get to 35 called passes. That seems like they were willing to let Justin cook a little bit. It just didn't work. In some instances when he's scrambling, the Giants did a nice job. The Bears wide receivers were covered up, and we've talked about the need to get him better targets. You look at the situation in the second quarter, Bears are 3rd and 10 at the Giants' 35. There's busted coverage, guys. Darnell Mooney is wide open. It's a walk-in touchdown. Fields doesn't see it or doesn't cut it loose, scrambles, and picks up 12 yards. He moves the chains. They end up getting a field goal on the possession. If he sees Mooney, like I said, it's a walk-in touchdown there. And those are plays that they have to have. And then Traylon, throughout the second half, he threw for a total of 57 yards.
All right, Brad, pass protection being the big problem on offense that's limiting everything. Cody Whitehair goes down, not sure about his status. Looked like Sam Mustafer had a rough day. They still have yet to play really Riley Reif in meaningful situations. Lucas Patrick, well, I'm not sure what he is, but he has been a liability, I think, on passing downs. What do they do to find their best 5, and do you think that they will make major changes?
I don't necessarily see a major change happening. I thought the Giants did a nice job with some probably what the Bears will consider some unscouted looks because they get creatively defensively, that New York staff, and obviously the Giants felt with A-gap pressure they could really create some problems for Justin Fields, and we saw that from time to time. We saw it picked up too. I mean, there are instances where, when that pressure is right in front of you, the ball's got to come out. There was another play in the red zone where they were 1st and 10 at the 12-yard line. Okay, This is in the first quarter, and Justin tries to spin out, ends up taking a 2-yard sack. So you're like, okay, well, it's 2nd and 12. That's not the end of the world, and that's right. But Cole Kmet's wide open, and it's going to be a short gain, probably 4 yards. But that's the difference between 2nd and 6 or 2nd and 12 when you're close to the goal line. And he tried to make an athletic play. I think it was Jihad Ward that brought him down on the play. But stuff like that just kind of keeps adding up for the Bears, especially, like I said, in the red zone where they've had their struggles certainly the last 2 weeks.
This segment with Brad Biggs is brought to you by global biotech company Horizon Therapeutics, where science and compassion work together to transform lives. What moves could they make? I mean, I'm looking at the depth chart that is on Bears.com, and this is from the 27th of September. But it's weird. They've got Braxton Jones with Riley Reif listed behind him. They got Whitehair with Jatari Carter listed behind him. Then you got Lucas Patrick actually listed as the starting center, Tevin Jenkins at right guard, and Larry Borum at right tackle with Michael Schofield behind him. I thought that I thought that if we saw Riley Reif, it would be at the right tackle, and maybe they'd move Borum over. What could they do if they wanted to do something here, given the fact that we don't know how long Cody Whitehair is going to be out? But does that mean Mustafa stays at center and Patrick becomes that left tackle or left guard? I mean, or would they?
Yeah,
Riley
I
Reif
imagine. Yeah, I mean, I imagine they'll stay with kind of how they finish this game here. I don't know that you to replace Cody Whitehair, and I would figure he's probably going to miss some time. You know, he was they designated him doubtful right away, and then he had a large brace on his right leg when he left the locker room with a cart ride to the buses afterward at MetLife Stadium. So I would figure that means some time missed. That was his 99th career start, guys. He's only missed 2 games in his career. He had a calf injury midway through the 2020 season. I don't know that they're plugging Riley Reif in right away. I don't know that there's a clear solution for them. They've got to be better offensively as a whole, and they play better run defense. I mean, we're talking about some fundamental flaws. When you can't stop the run and you really can't throw the football, your margin for victory on Sunday in the National Football League is mighty slim, and they're truly fortunate to be 2-2 right now, in my opinion.
Brad, Matt Eberflus called it a great decision after the game, self-congratulatory, but he did decide to punt 4th and 2 at the 45 with 3:15 left, putting trust in his defense to make a stop they frankly didn't have the right to think that they would make. And yet, okay, the outcome was what you wanted. The punt and pin, as he called it, it worked. But how surprising was it that he made that decision at that point, given the game situation?
Yeah, I thought it was something afterward. He got a little bit of a, pat himself on the shoulder for that move there when, I'm looking at it. I'm like, you're really going to give the ball back to the Giants offense that you haven't been able to stop, and Tyrod Taylor had been knocked out. Daniel Jones came back in with a sprained left ankle. So the threat of the quarterback run, I guess, was sort of erased, and you knew the Giants weren't going to try to throw the ball. But like, you're 4th and 2 at the 45, and he talks about this punt and pin to force the Giants to punt to get the ball back in good field position. Well, how much better was your field position going to be than needing 2 yards at your own 45-yard line, right? Like, you're going to be 10 yards better than that, 15 maybe, and you're risking that your defense, you got a missed tackle or a guy out of his gap, and the Giants pick up a first down, and pretty soon you're out of your timeouts. You're down to the 2-minute warning, and the punt and pin doesn't work. So would have worked if Velus Jones catches the punt. He's got to catch that. I thought he had to run a real long ways. He didn't have to go as far as I thought when I watched the replay. No excuse for putting that ball on the ground.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Brad, I think when we talk about why they gave that ball up, the Giants were out of quarterbacks, right? And maybe that threat of Daniel Jones running was erased, and that's not a really good team. And their receiving core is awful or injured, whatever way you want to term it.
Make the Bears look good. Yeah, got guys. I mean, we talk about the Giants rushing for 262, and they, like I said, had no intention to throw the football. Their wide receivers combined 3 receptions for 25 yards between Darius Slayton, Richie James, and I think it's Devin Sills. I think that's the first name. I mean, yeah. I mean, they got to stop the run. They got to stop the run, and the passing game isn't working.
All right, Brad, let me ask you about another coaching decision, because this stood out even as much as the one at the end of the game, the one near the beginning was telling. It's 3rd and 3. Actually, it's 4th and 2 after 3rd and 3. 3rd and 3, you run the ball. But on 4th and 2 from the Giants 4 in the first quarter, your second series, you decide to kick a field goal. And I understand that Michael Badgley had earned the trust quickly, but there you are in a 7-3 game very early, And I don't know how many coaches in the NFL, in today's NFL, would have decided to kick that field goal there. You get in the red zone, you get to the 4-yard line, you got to punch it in on 4th and 2, don't you? Don't you have to go for it in that situation?
It's the same thing at the end of the game, 4th and 2 at the 45, right?
Yeah.
That I think that's where their level of belief and confidence is in their offense right now. That is the same series that I referenced just a bit ago, where they're 1st and 10 at the 12.
Right.
Fields tries to elude pressure. It takes the 2-yard sack instead of Cole Kmet's wide open. All you got to do is get him the ball. He's not going to score, but you're probably looking at +4. So you're looking at 2nd and 6 at the 8-yard line. Instead, you're 2nd and 12 at the 14. And it's just it's reflective of their belief and confidence in the offense. Like, you're 3rd and 3 at the 5-yard line. How many other teams are running the ball, right? I think most people are throwing it there, aren't they?
Well, I mean, yeah, there's no shadow of a doubt. Who do you throw it to? I mean, I got to tell you, it was really a depressing game in terms of trading field goals for touchdowns. You can't win like that, no matter who you are.
Right. I just like it's like you want to watch it, but I mean, it's a boring offensive product right now. I think that's the reality, and it's just the passing game's not working in a passing league with I mean, look at we can have a long conversation about all the changes the league has made rule-wise for the passing game and stuff. The Bears aren't taking advantage of any of this stuff.
Brad, there was one guy who was smiling for good reason. Michael Badgley, you told the story well in 10 Thoughts, but he had quite a week, tried out for the Chiefs. He was living in California. He flew to Holmes Hall, and all of a sudden there he is, the only Bear player to score points on Sunday in New Jersey.
Yeah, Badgley got a call last Monday. Hey, they want you in Kansas City for a tryout, so he flew out Monday to Kansas City, lost the tryout to Matthew Wright on Tuesday, flew back to LAX Tuesday afternoon, evening, is sitting at home at about noon Pacific time on Thursday when he finds out the Bears want him to come in. So 5 hours later, he's on a flight. He's at LAX again, flying to O'Hare, gets in after midnight and wins that 3-man competition Friday to fill in for Cairo Santos. Did a nice job. He grew up about 20 miles from MetLife Stadium in Summit, New Jersey. So I think he had some friends at the game, and that's what a free agent kicker is looking for. He's looking for a phone call at any time and the opportunity to get on a plane and go get an opportunity and maybe going 4 for 4. I mean, what he hit, the longest I think was a 40-yarder. Maybe he'll be at the top of some lists for calls in the weeks ahead if other teams have needs.
There weren't many happy moments for the Bears, but one of them was Eddie Jackson getting another interception. David thought he should have dropped it. Justin Fields kind of said he should have dropped it. But it was. It turned it into a giant punt. What were your thoughts on Eddie's revival continuing? They're now 12-1 when he gets the interception because David wanted him to drop that one.
First of all,
he put the molecular.
Tyrod Taylor's got a cannon,
yes,
guys.
He does.
I mean, that ball was up there forever, and Eddie Jackson did a heck of a job at tracking it and running under it. He looked like I said he looked like a center fielder, kind of in baseball, making that play there. And to have 3 picks through the first 4 games, he's the first Bears player to accomplish that since Kyle Fuller did as a rookie back in 2014. And I thought Eddie's tackling was okay yesterday. The Bears didn't tackle well as a team, but just watching it live, I thought he made some nice plays. And the run game had some good fits. So he looks like he's turned back the clock to 2018, 2019, and that remains a positive for them on defense.
Great stuff, Brad. Safe
Thanks,
travels
buddy.
back.
Have a great day, guys.
You too.